Hi, Jane.
Hi, doggy.
How are you?
I'm good.
All right. So, boy, I got so many questions for you. I think the one that just keeps rattling around in my head is like, my God, how many times have you traveled back and forth to Casa Buena and back to Calgary, and you paint in Calgary and you do a workshop here and then you workshop down there and you go back and forth and back and forth. And then I phone you and you go, oh yeah, I'd come, but I'm in Paris now. How the hell do you get it all done all year long?
I know. It's not easy to be me, but somebody has to do it.
Right. Oh, yeah. You're just so amazing. You're everywhere. Okay, so my question would be pretty straightforward to answer. You grew up in Siberia. Why do you live in Mexico? Well, that's a dumb question. Who wouldn't live in Mexico if you were born in Siberia? Just joking. Right?
People in Canada ask me, you from Siberia? And I said to them, so are you. You're just on denial.
Yeah, it's kind of true, right? We do live in Siberia.
Because I am from exactly the same parallel as Edmonton. And Calgary is just 2 hours, 3 hours, south.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's exactly the same, lots of snow.
I know, it's just, you say Siberia and it conjures up this image in your head, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But
So were you born in Siberia?
Yeah, I was born on north of Siberia. My parents were working in north of Siberia. So that's where me and my brother were born. But then they moved to kind of western Siberia, which is, like I said, same...
like Vegreville.
Same parallel with Edmonton.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, what people think of Siberia is not at all what Siberia is about.
Yeah.
I took my husband there in 10 or something. And he was blown away of the beauty of the culture, how, clean everything is, how cultured everything is.
So there's woolly mammoths walking the street. And
he's like, this is Siberia? I said, yeah, that's,
It's like the Americans and do you guys live in igloos?
Exactly.
You guys have woolly mammoths still walking around?
Yeah, exactly. Where I went to university, it has 8 universities.
Wow.
And opera theater and all kind of stationary circus and all kind of theaters and other, there is a lot of culture in Siberia.
Well, yeah, and you have a lot of culture in you. You've been everywhere. Okay, so you don't see this, but she has an app on her phone and it has little dots and it looks like normally people would go, see all the little dots? That's where I've been. She goes, see all the little green spaces? That's where I haven't been yet. And there's 4.
Yeah, right.
It's like you've been everywhere.
Yeah, we've been traveling a lot.
All right. So how'd you end up in Mexico?
Well,
do you remember the first time you went to Mexico?
Well, first time.
Is that with Dallas or without?
But no, that was all inclusive. And of course, it was awesome. But it was, kind of, you eat, you drink, you swim in the ocean, and, kind of boring.
Yeah, it's like a holiday. It's a regular holiday, right?
Yeah. But then I met Dallas. Well, before I met Dallas, I was already in Canada for, I don't know, I'd say 15 years or something.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. And I was living in Airdrie, and I ran the art school.
Airdrie School of Art.
Yeah, Airdrie School of Art for 12 years. And then I met Dallas.
And you met Dallas where?
Oh, yeah, he has his own version of where we met. But I actually met Dallas at the Latin Corner.
Right.
He was my salsa partner.
There you go.
Yeah, he was. He's a avid salsa dancer, and that year I decided to become a Latino queen, and I bought the $100 shoes and 30 lessons, and he was my partner on the second lesson. So, and that's how we hooked up and started dancing together. So then he went to travel for 4 months right away. He went traveling all over Asia, and I I went like it was over Christmas holiday, whatever. So I joined him, and it was it was funny. I thought he traveled all his life. I thought he figured everything out. So I didn't bring anything with me, because I was just joining him in China. So I came, join him, and he has no map, no phone. Like at some point, we did not know where we were, where we were. I'm like, if I knew that you travel like that, I would plan everything and I would bring my maps and everything. But anyway, so that was the beginning, and then he brought me to when he came back. I just joined him for like a month. When he came back, we went to Mexico. He said, "Oh, I have a place in Mexico, so let's go check it out." So I'm thinking it's just like a little palapa on somewhere on the beach, and we go there, and I was in shock. It's a huge house with like room after room after room, and it goes on and on and on. And because he was building it for 18 years already, part of it already need renovation, and part of it was not even like, it was just a shell. So I'm like,
that's like everybody's house. Yeah, the front end, I just got it done. It looks great. Well, the back end's falling apart.
I know. So that was truly what happened. So I said, okay, I'm dating this guy. He's like all this, what are you going to do with that? And just him. He's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, I know, I have a plan. Let's finish what's not finished, renovate what needs to be done, and let's do the art retreat. He said, what? I said, well, I'm connected to the art world. I know people who can bring students and teach them. And we have, enough facility to put them up. And he said, yeah, whatever. Well, that was in 2011, I think. And 2013, we had our first art retreat. And ever since then, every year, minus COVID, year or two, we had art retreats. So it would be my year 12.
Oh, that's awesome. But here's the funny thing. So Dallas, first of all, Dallas is a world-renowned photographer who's worked for many places, including National Geographic, and has books. He's amazing. He's the nicest guy. He's the calmest guy. He's the most mellow guy you've ever met. And he will talk to you. He might talk to the other person. He may talk to the person over there one-on-one, but he doesn't like a lot of people. And she has art retreats and fills the place. And he's like, oh my God, what are you doing? And he disappears. You don't see him ever. And it's like, well, I don't know how he puts up with what you're doing, but he sneaks into the kitchen, he makes a sandwich, and then he bolts out. He doesn't want to see anyone. And yet you have person after person after person in the place. And you are the exact opposite.
Yep.
You're the most outgoing, gregarious person I've ever met. And he's like, oh, too many people.
Yeah, I know. He's hides sometimes.
He does, but he's the nicest guy. Yeah. And he has let you have free reign to that whole place. And what you've done to it is spectacular. Like, honest to God, it's spectacular. I got to tell you. So, yeah. Do you remember first time taking your paints down there?
Yeah, I remember when I just started coming there. So I was really afraid to drive because, oh my God, this is Mexico and I have to drive. It's like roads are very, there is no shoulders and they like all kind of crooked and wavy and whatever. I'm like, well, I'm not driving. I'm going to take my bicycle. So I bike everywhere. I bike all the little villages. I talk to people. It was great. So I got to know people, practice my Spanish. So then I start painting everywhere. So I took my easel with me and would go some village and just set up and paint, no fear. And I didn't really know anybody, so that was great. So then the next year, and we were working on the house. I was doing mosaics. I was.
I know we're going to get into that. Yeah. But were you there now full time? Because you still come back and forth.
Yeah. I still run.
Do you
my
still
school.
have to come back because that's kind of the
Yeah. So I had to the first. I think was like 2 or 3 years. I still was running my school. and I would hire people to look after it, but it didn't really work very well, so I had to give it up. So the first 2 years at least, I would go when I had just time off from the school, because I was running like 10 um, 10 weeks, and then like would be 3 weeks off, and then 10 weeks again, because my school was very
Yeah.
small. Anyway, so I was coming and going about 3 or 4 times a year. And then, so when I give it up, I was there like full time. And by then I met people. So I stopped riding my bike, and I kind of like didn't have time to paint anymore, because like all these people, lots of socializing going
Yes.
on, lots of parties, Mexico, they like to have parties.
Oh, yeah, I love Mexico. 24/7 party.
Yeah.
What I liked the first time I went down there was how immersed you got in their culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know you like mosaics, but first of all, the mosaics that you did on your own property that are around are absolutely stunning. I don't know how you have the time. And even talking to Dallas, he's sitting there putting little squares on, and I talked to him and he goes, I don't know, I guess it's a reason to drink. I put in 300 squares on, I earned a beer. And he's like, I don't know, I just keep putting squares on. They're amazing. But you got immersed right into the culture right away. You have worked to have art shows with the locals. You built a mosaic in a park for the people. You have really become part of them, and they're part of you. You just jumped right in, and art and them and Pepe the sculptor. Like we go there and people just show up because art seems to migrate to you. I love that you immersed yourself in that.
Yeah. When I came, I was like, okay, I have to find my people here. I have to find some artists. So I start like meeting people and see who was painting, who was sculpting, and then I said, well, we have to unite here. We cannot be just like all separate. So let's just get together and get the art show going.
Right.
So, and that was already, I don't know how many art shows, like we had 9 years or 10 years or something like that. So annual. So we would put a big art show, and then people from other villages, and even the capital of Nayarit, Tepic. Now we have a lot of artists to come in to join the art show there. So it's really grew, and it's very successful because it's so unusual to have
and that must make you feel so good to have all of that you've really amalgamated all this and made it happen. And I'll say that going there, I don't know how to say this, but there's a little bit of something that's kind of missing sometimes in North American art, and that is that the product on the wall is the important thing. And you go to Mexico, and it's not that. The important thing is the doing of it. I'm an artist. I make things. This is what I put my soul into, and this is what I've done. It's not necessarily actually the piece of art, but I look at the things that people create and the ideas that come out of their head that we don't do that here. It's all about the doing. And every little corner, there's that glass lady that you had, and she just makes weird things out of glass, and all those people and the mosaics and the stuff they make, and that, I don't know, there was that alligator weird sculpture thing, and it's like, man, it just makes you ooze art when you're there.
Yeah. Mexico is very cultural, and it's very artistic. From different part of Mexico, they have a, very unique artworks and sculptures and paintings and pottery, and it's all just absolutely amazing.
And some of it's like really loud, and I like that they're very proud of what they make. They're like, I made this, and they show it. Like it's not. Even when we went on the art walk in Puerto Vallarta, and we did all the different galleries, seeing the and the colors they use, they are definitely not afraid of color in Mexico.
That's true. And if you look around, it might be run down village or whatever, but the color combinations, they like bizarre color combinations, but they like,
and it works.
It's so colorful, and plus bougainvilleas, and it's just amazing. So they are not afraid of color. That's for sure.
I love that. And even the way they dress, they dress with lots of color. They love it. They're a very expressive people down there. I love it. And so I'll say So this is my thought. So where you are in Casa Buena, I tell people, I teach for Jane at her she has a resort, Casa Buena. And they're like, oh, where is that? I go, well, I don't really know. It's kind of, I don't know, it's like 2 hours north of Puerto Vallarta. I really don't know where I am. And they go, well, are you in Cancun? I go, no. Are you in Mazatlan? I'm like, I know. I said, you know where we are? I said, it would be like if I was in Nanton. I said, it's farmland.
Mm-hmm.
There's no cartel. There's nothing but friendly people.
Mm-hmm.
You ask anyone on the street anything, they're happy to help you. They love you. They just love you. And there's nothing going on but beauty. They're all farmers.
Mm-hmm.
They're all willing to help you. They wave at you. They ride in the back of trucks with no helmets and 47 watermelons, and they give you thumbs up all day long. And you stop, and I love when we stop, when you buy 14 banana breads, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the best banana bread I've ever had. And I didn't even have to let my bananas rot to get it. Everyone is so friendly. I'm going to say this too. The other thing that I really like about that is they're extremely family orientated.
Mm-hmm.
They all eat outside. They eat on their little patio. Grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, all the kids, they all eat together. There's no TV. There's no cell phones. They just eat outside. They have family time. Grandma and grandpa take care of the kids while mom and dad work because they need to make the money. Grandma and grandpa don't have to make it anymore. Kids need to be taken care of. Very family.
Yeah.
And everybody loves everyone, and motorbikes and kids riding, and you look at this little square hut and you think, oh my God, how do they live there? It's so run down. You look inside, they got a nice TV. They got a nice couch. They don't care about anything.
They don't care.
They're happy.
Yeah.
They're happy. They're
so
just happy to be alive and have a job and have family.
Sometimes people come and we go like right in, just checking out the villages and for, photo shooting or whatever, because it's so how to say it, rustic and so real. It's so real. And plus the tropical sun make the most amazing shadows and like shadow patterns and the shapes. And so anyway, sometimes I take people just to take photographs, and some of them would say, oh my God, what a poverty. I just feel so bad. I just feel it's not romantic for me anymore. I just feel really bad for people. I'm like, you feel bad for these people because you don't know these people. These people, they don't care about like whatever you have,
They don't care about my car. I have a better car than you. I have 3-car garage.
Dining room that nobody dine in. I know. I've been to the houses, like lived to the houses where dining room was empty for like most of the time. These people, the value is family. They have completely different value.
They have completely different values.
The kids, the elderly always, living with them. The kids, they're all together. Sometimes
you treat your elderly together. So good.
Yeah.
The kids get treated good. The parents work hard. They're happy to work. They're happy to go to work. And the funny thing is, all of this, and they drive fairly good cars. They don't have, I'm not talking like a Lamborghini or a Rolls Royce. They all have a nice car. And you go to these little towns, and there's a lot of them, but they're always washing their cars. They're sweeping. They keep things clean. They're very tidy. They like things clean and neat. You go in the shops. All the shops are clean. Every place I ate, the food is wonderful. Everything is safe, clean. You think it's poverty. Yeah. It's so not poverty.
It's just the priority put in a different place.
Absolutely it is.
So, I mean, yes, they not all of them have cars, but lots of them have, first of all, we live in between 2 fishing villages. So we ride on the ocean, so there's a fishing villages, and also oysters.
Oh, the guys are always out. You get up in the morning, and they got all these guys in boats, and the dude's holding the boat, and there's 14 of them swimming.
Yeah.
They don't have nets and trawlers and this. It's like a skinny little boat and a dude and 4 dudes getting oysters. And by the time lunchtime comes, they're right there. You can eat them. Yeah. They've caught them for you.
Yeah, that's true. And you see lots of fishermen on a bicycle, or like oyster guy on a bicycle with the tube around him, with like, a whole bunch of oysters in the, in the whatever the area in the bag, the baggage thing.
Oh,
And you see a lot of people, like, just kind of iconic Mexican thing, the sombrero, like big sombrero, and the bike, like on a bicycle.
You do, absolutely. It is. Some of it is very iconic.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm like, oh my God, get my camera, quick, quick, take more pictures, take more pictures.
Yeah. Or they have, the, what do you call it, the where you put your stuff in the bike, like
the basket.
The basket in
They
front.
have a basket with a cooler in it.
And sometimes it's not a cooler; it's like a big fish sticking out.
I know
of
the
it.
fish head sticking right out.
And and you can see this like almost every day.
Okay,
so it's very cool.
Here's my little story. I was to Jane's a couple of years ago, and she says, "Oh, it's very busy. It's very busy. You take my keys, go to town, get fish for dinner. I forgot." I'm like, what? I have to drive in Mexico? I was like you. I'm like,
yeah.
It's so normal. Don't worry about it. This is in
road.
England on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah.
Anyways, she gives me the keys. I drive to town, and I'm like, she goes, go to the market. We took pictures by the boat. Don't worry. I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea. I get to town. I'm a little bit lost. Anyways, I find the market, and I go, and I don't speak Corona. That's my Spanish right there. Corona. Anyways, I get there, and I'm like, I say to the lady, mahi mahi. And she's like, no. And she points down there. So I go way down, say to the guy, mahi mahi. And he goes, no, something empty. He says no mahi mahi. And I'm like, oh, no fish. This other guy in the back comes out, and he goes, in English, he says, government wharf. Go, senior government wharf. And I'm like, I don't know where that is. He goes, a rusty boat. I go, I know where the rusty boat is. So I drive all the way around trying to find this little entrance to the rusty boat area. I get to the rusty boat. Literally a bunch of fishermen are just coming in. There's a kid, 14-year-old kid in a big red boat, and he's pulling up, and I just yell out, mahi mahi. And the kid goes, si, mahi mahi. And I'm like, dos mahi mahi grando. And he laughs at me. He pulls out two of the most ugly fish I've ever seen in my entire life, and he puts them in a bag. He wraps them, hands them to me. I give him some money, and he goes, oh, senior, and he gives me a whole bunch of money back. I'm like, I don't know how much it was, whatever. He was honest. He gave me my money back. I went home. We barbecued the best fish I've ever had. They're just so honest and nice, and also there was 37 cats hanging around there at the fishing wharf, too. I was like, okay, that's funny. Look at all the cats waiting for fish. All right. Yeah.
The cats and the birds,
the birds are everywhere.
The big birds, those pelicanos.
Yeah, so it's just
blackbirds.
It's everything you think. It's very iconic. So do you we go back? Do you remember the first painting? Do you remember the first time you painted outdoors there?
Yes.
And what did you paint?
A church.
A church, yeah. Every town there's iconic churches everywhere.
Yeah.
If you want to paint iconic churches, I give you 30 in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Boats. I painted bougainvilleas. There is so much to paint there. There is ocean, obviously. There is river with all the greenery and beautiful trees. The trees are amazing, just absolutely amazing. And trees and cliffs, rivers. There is a lot of
it's funny because where you are drops down to the ocean, and you're kind of on a cliffy area. So you get the cliffs, you get the rocks, you get the waves crashing in, which is lovely. You can drive a little bit up and get like streams and valleys and a lot of jungle. There's a lot of jungle. But you go 15 minutes, I don't know, I guess it would be south, and you're in agricultural land. Right. Flat as a pancake with the big hills, the big mountains coming up, but all farmland. There's cows, and they're, those weird skinny Mexican cows. I guess they taste pretty good, but I don't know. They always look at them like they look bony and like there's no meat on them, but I don't know. All the buses drive by with the pictures of the meat on the back, and I'm like, I want that steak right there. Anyways, you get all the agricultural land. There's barns, there's buildings, and beautiful,
beautiful. They call Sierra Madre Occidental.
Yeah,
it's like the range of the mountains.
The Mother Sierras.
Yeah, and I think it's I think where we live, it's the closest where the ocean comes to the mountains in Mexico.
Yeah.
So we have the best worlds of you looking to the what would be west. Looking to the west, it's a beautiful ocean. Looking to the east, it's a beautiful mountain. So we got it all.
You have it all. All right.
Yeah.
So you date a guy, you go to Mexico, he has a big place, you start this thing. Are you freaking out? Do you fall in love? When'd you get married? What'd you do? Like, did you just tell him, I know you. Don't you want to be quiet? Don't worry. I got this. I'm going to make this. Go away. Just, I got this.
Yeah. How do you answer this?
I know. Yeah. Like,
Cut this out.
well, I mean, like that's a very, you have a very big place. It's a lot to run.
Yeah.
Like, that's a going concern. But you've built it up slowly and added a third floor to the top of it?
No, the floor was already there. It was just empty shell. So we developed it. But it did grow. You know, we start building other things and bottle house made out of bottles and all this kind of stuff.
Talk about the bottle house. This is super cool. You got to talk about the bottle house and we'll show photos of the bottle house.
Yeah. So so it grew from...
So first of all, what's a bottle house?
It's the house made out of bottles.
It is made out of empty wine bottles.
Yeah, empty wine bottles.
And you tried very hard to drink enough wine to provide enough bottles, but you found you just couldn't keep up.
I know. I have to cry to the neighborhood. So everybody who I knew were drinking in the name of art and architecture for a few years and giving us boxes and boxes of bottles. And we collected the whole pile before we start, because you take 2 bottles, cut the tops off, and then put the bottoms together and tape it. And that will you kind of a brick.
Yeah.
And then you put 1 row of them.
So you have like a cylinder that's clear, so the light comes through it.
Exactly. So, and of course, we designed it, and I did all the, how to say, the managing the whole process.
Well, I hope you designed it. You're an architect to begin with. You have a degree in architecture, do you not?
Yeah, I do.
All right. We'll talk about that later. Secrets. She knows stuff.
So anyway, not like I use it much, but anyway, but our builder who built the whole house built our bottle house as well. But I have to tell him where all the bottles
and what colors to put, because they're all different colors too.
And not only that, but for those bottles that is like orange and red and purple, you don't really have bottles that is red and purple. So what I did, my friend Jo, she has a glass studio. So I would cut the the round glass, the stained glass, and I would glue it to the end of one of the bottle.
So you got more light to come through.
So then when you put it together, if it's a white bottle, so it become red bottle.
That's
awesome. Or purple bottle or whatever. So yeah.
And you have how many bottles?
You know what? I still didn't come around count them, because whatever it is, it's multiplied by 2, because 2 bottles makes 1 drink. So that would
I was way over 1,000 bottles.
Oh God,
I was way I did a random count in the one area and it was over 1,000. So I'm like, that's 2,000 bottles of wine, and I didn't include the little kitchen area and the bathroom yet. So
when we start building it, our pile of bottles disappear really fast. So I start driving around to all the bars and and restaurants and talking to the owners. So they start collecting me bottles. So I had my bottle run twice a week, so we can
and then you
keep
said
the
they
project.
started dropping them off at outside of your gate. She'd show up and there'd be like a whole box of more wine bottles.
Everybody was dropping up.
You were the bottle depot.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
But cool building this was like a mosaic anyways. It's a little bit, and you have that mosaic mentality in your system.
It's kind of like a little bit of a psychedelic house. When light come through, it's like,
oh yeah. She offered me to stay there. I was like, there's no way I'm sleeping in this building. Yeah. I'll wake up in the morning and think I'm on some sort of 70s acid trip when I wake up. That's going to freak me out. I'm not doing that for sure.
Exactly.
It's beautiful though. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah. So
that's so awesome. All right. So How come you never teach a workshop there?
Well, I used to. Well, since we start running the workshop, like the retreats, so we had not only art retreats, we had yoga retreat, we have dancing retreat, we have sculpture retreat. So we had all kind, but we ended up just doing just painting retreat. And I did teach retreats. So I was teaching, oh, it's so funny. I was teaching Zen of painting. And my daughter said, Mom, you're the most un-Zen person I know. How could you teach Zen retreat and run it and look after the kitchen and driving and socializing and partying and still teaching? So, I mean, that was a lot. So it was, I decided not to do it because it's so much more fun when somebody else is teaching and you just and I try to paint, also.
Oh, you're there. I see you try to paint and your heart's in it, but the brain is somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
You're running a resort. You got a whole bunch of people and you try to squeeze it in, but But I love what you do when you have okay, today I'm just going to take a separate group and we'll go to my studio and we're going to hang out and do some pastel and I'll fart around. Not really a workshop. It's more like there's no pressure, right? And I'm just going to show you some stuff and you can ask questions. I love that.
Because I'm still teacher. I'm teacher first and artist second, I know. Because I do have a teacher's diploma. It's not really degree. It's not university. It's 4 years of becoming an art teacher for a school system. So I still have it in me. So I'm like, I love teaching. Sometimes I'm jealous that people teach and I have to cook or something, So that's why,
I know, but you're a damn good cook too, which is also probably why Dallas hangs around.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. So I also teach kids at the local library. When I have time.
Really? The Mexican kids?
I loved it. Yeah.
Oh,
Mexican
that must be
kids.
the best.
Yeah.
How come you never let me do that? I'd do that with you.
Well, we're busy. We're busy.
Come on, let's go teach them.
Yeah, that's when
go
this
teach
summer.
some punk-ass Mexican kids some shit, man. Come on.
So this summer when we were there and nobody was, we had no guests, nowhere to go. So I was teaching Mexican kids.
Oh, that's excellent. All right.
Doing some,
So have you ever, when the downtime comes, like this year, I noticed you stayed there a little longer than you normally do. And you have a beautiful studio that's there. Did you get to paint? Did you fart around in there and enjoy yourself for once by yourself?
So true. Yes. This summer, very unusual because usually we come to we either travel the countries or we go to Canada in the summer. But this summer, Dallas was staying. Dallas need to stay in Mexico because he wanted to become Mexican citizen. So you have to stay 18 months out of 24. So we were staying in Mexico. It was hot, so I had to be under the fan the whole time. But it was not unbearable, and I had
with
so
the pool
much
and
time.
the palapa and the ocean right there. That's so painful.
I know. Well, it was hot, but I did had some painting time in my studio, and of course I just came. And we went to plein air with Pepe and Chela. We went to plein air a few times. We discovered some really really cool places outside of where we live, about sometimes it's an hour, sometimes half an hour drive.
Yeah.
Just some places just magical that nobody the artists don't know, or anybody there's no visitors. They just so out of the beaten path, so nobody ever comes there. So we went and we painted there and taken some photographs and
do you ever notice does your art change? Do you do different art when you're in Mexico than you do at home? You always do what's behind you. You're the portrait queen, and you love your pastels. And we just went out not that long ago and painted and trees and yellow. I know you'll paint anything, but do you it wasn't but a couple of years ago someone said to me, "Oh yeah, because you're a seasonal painter," and I'm like, "What? What's that?" They go, oh yeah, you always paint whatever the season is. As soon as it starts to snow, you paint snow scenes. As soon as the trees turn yellow, you paint yellow trees.
Well, that's
when
because
it's green.
You're a plein air painter.
I know a little bit of that, but I tend to fall into that groove for a bit. And I was like, I never noticed I was a seasonal painter. And when it gets 30 below, I just paint boobs then because like there's, I don't want to go outside, so whatever. But do you ever notice like, I mean, like indoors, like fine, outdoors, you're going to paint Mexican scenes because you're Mexico, of course. But indoors, are you inspired to paint more Mexican scenes when you're there, or do you care, or do you even notice that?
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed all my Canadian paintings. It's like blue, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, green, and well, hello there.
Welcome, Kiki. We got an addition. Kiki, come here. Where are you? No, he's getting kicked out. Okay, come on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Kiki is in the house. Say, hi, baby. All right. Okay, see you later. Nothing wrong with having a little visitor. Yeah. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, and my Mexican paintings are very colorful. Because it's
stronger,
color,
more vibrant, right?
Color everywhere.
But
Even
the light
portraits.
is so strong down there sometimes.
Yes, and the shadows are amazing.
Yes.
I wanted to do a series of just shadows because shadows, like you go and there is like bright yellow wall with the shadows of whatever palm trees or bougainvilleas or whatever, and it just absolutely stunning. And shadow is very colorful, of course, because of reflected light. And
then there's like the most reddest flowers hanging over that wall, and you're like,
yeah.
So like, what do you? I know it's the same thing. You look at that and then you take a photo and it's not the same, and whatever, and you see it. But do you want to go out and paint that more often? Do you like how much do you paint outdoors there? Like I know you'd paint if you had someone with you, you'd go all the time.
Yeah. Well, I go sometimes alone too. But in Mexico where we live, there is nothing commercial. There is no tourists. It's a true, authentical Mexico.
It is. There's not even a drive-through. It's horrible. Don't go. And there's no McDonald's. I don't know how they eat.
Even beside the McDonald's, they eat tortillas and frijoles, beans and tortillas. But anyway, that's a staple. But anyway, so when you go, you have it's so rustico, like everything. Sometimes it's like something run down with all kind of stuff and the most beautiful bougainvillea right beside it.
It is.
Or like the road is all kind of, almost no road, all kind of
but it's
very
like
rough.
It's like you paint a painting and I tell people, you got to kind of make this road look a little more rustic so it looks believable.
Exactly.
Not so man-made. And you go there and it's like you got to actually step it up a notch because it's too rustic. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But gorgeous.
I know. So if you, I know you don't have a painting in front of you, but what's your go-to, if you're outside, do you always do pastel outside?
No. I paint oil, sometimes watercolor. What I noticed in watercolor, actually, so I brought a lot of watercolor paper, like arches, and stack them up.
Yeah.
When we were driving, I bring a lot of art supplies with me because you can't fly big canvases and big paints and whatever. It's all limited. But when we drive, so I bring a lot of. So I have a stack of arches. And I noticed, I took it out, and I noticed my paint doesn't really flow like it's usually would flow, like watercolor paint. It's just soaking right into it. And then I couldn't figure out for the longest time what is going on. Then I figure out it's a moisture. Moisture gets into the paper.
Sure it does.
And paper
you're by the ocean.
And it just because it's been there for years or few years, so it's
its moisture content has gone up,
and it's almost no sizing.
Yeah.
And it's like painting on a regular paper.
It's like painting on paper that's already wet and it just wants to flow everywhere.
No, that's not true. Quite the opposite.
No, so
if it goes everywhere,
it doesn't want to flow.
Deal with that.
It just wants to stay where it is. It's more like gouache.
No. Not that
Okay, well,
either.
I don't know nothing.
Okay, try again.
No, go ahead. Go.
So no, it just like goes right into the paper and stay there. So it's like paper with no sizing. Have you ever tried to paint paper with paper with
so
no
you
sizing?
can't manipulate it
You cannot
whatsoever.
manipulate
It's once it's
whatsoever.
on, done.
Exactly. So
Oh,
what I
yeah.
had to do is put my paper in the oven for a little bit, so that dries and it become very crispy again, and the watercolor behave like it should behave.
Hey Jane, these tacos are really bland. Like what? Like what's for supper? This is. Oh, that's my watercolor paper. Oh, sorry. Tacos are on the next shelf.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So watercolor, oil,
and
pastel, of course, always.
Pastel. So because I just went to pastel convention, so I'm all in pastel, and it's so easy. Just take your pastel with you.
Oh, yeah,
all you have to do is
have
hands.
300 pastels to take with you. Yeah, it's so easy.
You don't have to 300, but 300 would be good.
How was Pastel Conference? That's a whole sidebar, but that's Albuquerque, New Mexico. And you met Albert Handel and got your picture with Albert Handel.
Yeah, of course I did.
I hate you.
Yeah, I know. And that conference was like that. What was it?
It's like a conference or
it was
convention.
Convention. Yeah, it was amazing. It's like my world opens, like open up. It's like I was living in a little box, and I just knew, me and a few other pastel artists, and and poof, it's open, and all of a sudden,
isn't it lovely to find your tribe?
It's just amazing, and so many beautiful people like doing pastels, because pastel is really what do you call it?
It's underappreciated.
Underappreciated.
And there's not as many people doing it. And I think it's because they just don't understand it as much.
I think also because of the glass, like you have to put it under glass. I think it has a little bit to do with that, or maybe a lot to do with that, like talking to the gallery owners who don't want anything under glass. But pastel is so amazing. It just, and meeting people who did like Harley Brown. Well, I didn't meet Harley Brown there. But he's still doing pastels. He was on Pastel Live, so it's another online event. So he was part of it this year, and like the love of pastel of these people has really inspired me to focus on pastel. So lately, I've been painting.
Well, it's your favorite, and it's your go-to, and you kick at it. So you kick at it so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, like how do you find then if you're in Mexico? You're painting and you see that light. That light is so intense. Like they have these weird, all I can say is it's kind of like this, they got a cement building. Like they don't have siding like we have. No. So it's this weird cement building and they don't paint it very often. The paint's peeling off, but mostly because there's salt in the air and the paint doesn't last. So why bother? They give up. You can't. And everybody's like that. It's not a rundown place. It's just, you could paint it every year and you'd be painting it. So it gets this weird reflected light that comes off of it that glows. Then you get this beautiful shadow hanging off of it. And the shadow is so transparent and intense next to that light and yet believable. How do you do that in pastel?
Easy. I mean, pastel is like you see it, you don't have to mix anything. You just like see it and it's right there. You just take right stick and put it in the right place and voila. It's actually easier. It's actually easier than you think when you have like all the pastels.
If you have the right colors and everything. I sometimes...
But it's value. The most important is value, right?
So it is. The value between the light and the dark and getting it right.
If you have like warmer and cooler of, like each color and, each value.
So if you're plein air painting, when you go out, say how many pastels would you take outdoors with you? Give or take.
Well, I have a special plein air, and it really depends. If you have to like hike somewhere, obviously it has to be lighter. But most of the time we just like park the car.
Because pastels weigh so much.
And like walk like
Yeah, no, I understand.
Or sometimes we paint right on the street. Like your car is right there, so you can take as many as you want.
Roadkill. I love roadkill.
And I usually have set on the easel, and I have like some extra.
So how many do you think, give or take? Guesstimation.
Oh, well, I have 64 of half sticks of the harder ones.
Yeah.
That's always with me.
Yes.
Always. So that's 64. So in another probably, I don't know, 200.
There you go. We're up to 3. I told you it's 300.
But it's like half sticks. It's
Yeah.
you don't have to
They're just
get
little-
like just
little
a little
turds,
things,
little
right?
turds, I know.
Exactly. So
Right.
so you have a variety, and it's so much easier because what you see, it's already there. You don't have to mix it.
I know, but what blows me away is, I guess it's the same as anything. I only bring, 7, 8 colors, and it's fine. You have 300. How do you remember, oh, I need this stick and this stick? Like you imagine 300, and then you'd go, yeah, but you know how to mix those and make the 300. I don't know. I guess it's the same thing, but I always watch like you and Sue Woolgar, and I'm like, she like you shuffle around in there and go, there it is, that stick, boom, and you put it on, and it's like the perfect color.
Well, you just organize your pastels. I organize my pastels in a very, very specific manner, so I know where to go. Like, for example, all my lights, like really lights, the whites with a little bit of green or a little bit of blue, a little bit of yellow, in it all together.
Yes.
So if I go for light, I hear, oh, here's my little cooler light, here's my little warmer light.
Okay,
they work
that makes
together
sense, yeah.
because they shimmer together, right? So is darks, all my darks together. So here's my lights, here's my darks. Then I have grays. They're all separate also. Like this is my cool grays, this is my like neutrals. My cool neutrals, my warm neutrals, my whatever neutrals, right? So and then there is like your yellows from the pure color,
Yeah.
from lighter to darker, but they kind of chromatic.
Yeah.
Right?
So
here's my chromatic
all
yellows.
the punchy colors.
Yeah, here's my chromatic red. So I know exactly where everything is. So and like that's no problem.
Oh, that's it seems so. Oh, that'd be so much for my brain to handle.
No, it's easy. Much easier than bring in 7 colors and then mix the rest of them.
It just seems so easy. I'll just mix it up. Don't worry about it. But it was always funny when I did pastel, I could never find the color I wanted. And then when I did oil, I was like, if I had that color in a pastel, I know how to make that mark, because there is something about the mark that you make in a pastel that you cannot duplicate with anything else in the world.
True.
That.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't explain it.
Yeah.
Tell them that mark.
Because that is pastel has the best of both worlds. You can paint with pastel, you can draw with pastel, right?
Exactly.
So that's drawing. That's a drawing quality of pastel.
It is, and it's hard to get that drawing quality back in paint if you don't know how to do it. It's very hard. Yeah.
So I really appreciate the drawing quality of pastel as well as painting quality, and it's like kind of, when is a painting, when is a drawing? So I think I read somewhere on official pastel websites. Oh, don't remember what was it, but so if you cover your pastel paper like with a few layers,
Yes,
that would be painting. But if you draw and you can see the background,
yes,
you know how you sometimes
yes, that's
you can
more of a drawing.
That would be drawing. So that's how they kind of separated. Like Harley Brown's, that's definitely
Well, he always said
painting.
it's 70-30. You're 70% drawing, 30% sort of painting, or you're doing a lot of painting, 70% painting, and then like you do a painting and then draw around it.
But
or do you do a drawing and put a little paint on it?
Right. But if you do a painting and draw around it, it's like no different than oil,
Yes,
like you paint and
yeah.
then with your calligraphy you just do some
Yes.
drawing, like. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like it's considered to be a painting when you don't see the background.
Oh,
You don't see
interesting.
the paper, like not the background, like not the black or brown
Yeah.
paper, but like when you paint, So if you cover it like with a few layers, so that would be painting. But if you
So you're just
like,
making this thing emerge out of it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, but if you see this, like
The scribbly
drawings, but still you see the shimmering paper.
That's
So
interesting.
that would be a drawing.
I didn't know that.
Considered
That's
a
really
drawing.
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
dude, I love learning shit, man.
yeah.
I'd incorporate that into painting too, where maybe if you're painting on a toned background versus a non-toned background.
But it still would be painting because it's a wet medium, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Pastel, I think pastel the only medium that is like kind of in between painting and drawing. It could be painting, it could be drawing. I always
for the most part, I would agree with you. I'll throw out Kevin Bielfus. What's his name? Belfus. I don't know what his name is. That dude can draw and paint at the same time.
Yeah.
He's like, he's like from Mount Olympus. He's a god.
Yeah,
so.
He's God.
He is. I don't know. He's God.
Don't want to talk about him. He is amazing.
I know. All right. Okay. So just, I want to talk a little bit just at the end here. I want to talk a little bit about, this is more, maybe for those of you who are in the podcast, if you're interested in coming to Casa Buena, here's the little add-on for you. Listen to this. If not, you can bow out now and it's all good, but you're like crazy if you don't come. But I want you to walk me through. Otherwise, I'm going to do it. Walk me through. I get to the airport, and what, besides my shot of tequila that you have ready for me when I get there, oh, baby, what happens?
So we normally meet people, my assistant or myself, we would meet people in the hotel, a special hotel in Zona Romantica. So people would come to airport and find
Zona Romantica.
It's in Puerto Vallarta. It's a place to be.
It is.
Everything that's happening. Good restaurant, entertainment, beautiful shops, art galleries, just gorgeous. It's
and
beautiful.
Don't
place.
stray a block off if you're studly like me, because you get picked up by a lot of guys that like you. Or I thought they liked me, but anyways, I apparently have to pay for that. Sorry, I just thought I was handsome, but I guess I was informed by Jane, you're not handsome. You have money.
Anyway, so we meet at the hotel in Zona Romantica, and either myself or my assistant will take you to the art walk. So that's usually happen on Wednesdays when all the galleries in the district in downtown Puerto Vallarta, they open, they
stay open late.
They open
night.
late
Yeah.
with little drinks or little appetizers or piano playing or whatever, and it's amazing. It's just such a different. Some galleries, they just very modern, and some galleries they're very traditional.
It's all over the map.
Just all over the map, and just
and
so
every
good
one of them has so much crazy good art.
Yes.
You just your eyes get filled with, God, I never thought about any of that it's art.
Yeah.
I always feel like my art world is about that big until I get there and realize, oh my God, it's all art.
Yeah. So the art walk and then the dinner and whatever. So, and the next day the bus, will pick you up and drive you for about, I don't know, about hour and a half, I guess. And we stop for the artisans market. So after the breakfast, obviously, if
you buy a T-shirt and it says large, get an extra large. Trust me, they're Mexican. They're shorter than we are.
Yeah. So anyway, on this market, it's like all the artisans from all over Mexico bring their, the artisans things. It's what do you call it?
They got crafts, they got art, they got painting, they got clothing, they have food. I think I bought the best pistachios I've ever eaten in my life there.
Yeah.
And I bought the nicest T-shirt. It was a little bit too small, or maybe I'm too fat. I don't know, but I love that T-shirt. I still have it. It's my goal to fit into that T-shirt.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Oh, there you go.
And Michelle bought the best earrings and a bracelet, and And you were so good because the guy's like, it's this much money. It's this. And no, it's this much money. And he's like, okay, it's this much money. And he laughs.
Yeah, you have
like
to.
we're just rookies. So you knew right away. So, there's so many shops. You could spend the whole afternoon there.
Yeah. So it's a really good market. So after the market, they bring you to Casa Buena, and the fun begins.
It does. So you open the gates.
Yeah.
And you just have to be there because once the gates are open, it really feels like you're in a gated community. In this, it's what do you got? Like 2-3 acres there?
No, actually, it's a 1 acre.
It's only 1 acre. It feels like way more.
Yeah, it is,
but I guess because you can see the ocean too. Yeah, beautiful gardens. You've got an extra house out the end. You got the bottle house out the end. You've got a swimming pool. It's like that's always my thing. I'm in a heated pool looking at the ocean going, neener. It's cold out there and it's warm here. I don't know. It just always feels weird that I'm swimming in a pool and I can see the ocean. Yeah. But you're up on a cliff, so you can't just get to the ocean. Though you can swim in the ocean. You can get down there. Absolutely. You can get down there and swim.
Yeah, you can.
And there's like a little bar off to the side. And we paint in a concourse. This giant concourse, I just call it a concourse, but it's
hacienda.
And there's like a roof over it, so you're sheltered from the sun, but you're kind of outdoor painting indoors, and lots of room. No one's around you. We got the music playing, and someone always yells out at 3:00, 3:30. It's like
happy hour,
and like you start at 9, 10 o'clock. There's demos. We paint. It's just, and you go, and we paint, and sometimes we paint at night, and sometimes we go out and take photos. Oh my God, the fun never ends. It's just, if I could, I'd move there and just teach for the rest of my life.
And sometimes you go on locations and paint plein air on locations. Sometimes I drive. We drive people.
So we drive. We always take cars and we drive, and we go outside. There's lots of places to paint out there. And the best is when you go on location. You paint a little. You go to the little place for lunch. Then you go back and paint a little. Just don't leave your shoes around because if you leave your shoes.
Bienvenidos, mi amigos, to Casa Buena. Come and paint and enjoy Mexican tropical holiday.
Hey, mi amigos. What she said. This is Art and Gibberish, Potato Water Podcast. Jane Romanishko, thanks for being in the house.